So I first discovered Akro way back in early 2019, but I didn't really totally get into the brand until the summer of 2019 when I first picked up a bottle of Smoke. Have you guys tried Smoke from Akro? Well, now they have a new fragrance out called Bake, which I'm going to talk to you about today. And the first time I smelled this, I thought, yes, they've done a full gourmand fragrance for us. Because they have a couple of other fragrances that are gourmand, like Awake and Dark. And maybe even Smoke might go into the gourmand direction because it has its sweetness. But we now have a full-on gourmand fragrance with Bake. And I'm going to tell you all about Bake coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. Yesterday I'm talking about Bake from Akro. If you don't know anything about Akro, I have a ton of videos on the channel. You can go find out more about Akro as a brand. But Akro is a brand that's created by the daughter and her boyfriend of perfumer Olivier Cresp. So it seems like Olivier Cresp's family is in the perfume business. Of course, Olivier Cresp has been doing fragrances for the longest time. He is known for creating Angel, Muglaire's Angel from 1992. And recently, he's been creating fragrances with his son, Sebastian Cresp. I believe his name is Sebastian. And then, of course, there's Akro with the daughter. So Akro's been a favorite fragrance house of mine, and they keep cranking out great ones. And today I'm talking about Bake. It's the latest launch from Akro. If you want to find out more about Akro's Bake, I have a link in the info box to Lucky Scent. There's a 10% discount, 10% off discount code there as well. You can go find out more info on Bake and of course the other Akro fragrances. It's a 2023 launch, 100 ml for $185. It comes in eau de parfum concentration. I would call this a gourmand fragrance or an amber vanilla fragrance, but you might want to add something like a citrusy amber vanilla, because there is this component of citruses here with Bake. Citruses, you say. So when I started wearing this, fully, embracing the fragrance, it instantly took me back to when I was very young. My mom was a baker, a cook. She loved cooking and baking. And I remember when she was making cakes, I used to rind lemons to have her put in the batter. And then I would put the little lemon rinds into that, cake batter and mix it up and smell that vanillic cake batter. And then the oily notes of lemons kind of swimming in the air along with the cake batter. That really took me back to when I was preparing the cake batter with lemon rinds in it for my mom. So this is what it reminded me of, because Akro's Bake features notes of lemon peel, rum, Chantilly cream, praline, brown sugar, and vanilla. So yes, it's a gourmand fragrance. You've got lots of gourmand notes here, but you do have that lemon peel note. And it's definitely a very lemony gourmand fragrance. So this is not your traditional full-on gourmand without the citruses kind of a thing. Definitely the presence of the lemon peel is here. And then along with the presence of the lemon peel, you do get that kind of bitterness in here as well. So I feel like whatever lemony peel they've put into this fragrance, they've actually done a realistic interpretation of the lemon peel, because lemon peel, it has that bitterness, and you kind of have that kind of tart, citrusy, bitter characteristics of the lemon peel fully in here. But the fragrance does get a bit boozy for sure. There's that rum note in here. Of course, it's very, very creamy, very soft, silky, smooth, creamy, because we've got the Chantilly cream in here. Then you've got the sugary touches and, of course, the vanillic touches in here as well. So in the end, it's an overdose of vanillic fragrance wearing experience, but of course you've got the citrusy touches, definitely prominent here in Bake, and it smells quite delicious. So generally, when I'm speaking about gourmand fragrances, they generally do not have the addition of citruses. And this particular fragrance, it's pretty prominent. The citrusy component comes in fully with this fragrance. So you're enjoying the gourmand touches, but with a full, presence of citrus touches. So you've got to be into the idea of a citrus gourmand, which is basically what you have with Bake. But I feel like what Akro has done here is definitely added the perfect fragrance for the collection of Akro fragrances, because the previous release is Ink. If you ever got your nose on ink, it was a very rubbery, leathery vetiver fragrance, which smells really great, and I garnered me compliments when I was wearing it. But here we've got something, leaning a bit feminine, very gourmand, and then definitely an overdose of vanillic, citrusy touches. It's quite delicious. If you're into the idea of citrusy gourmands, as I was saying, I really like the idea of citrusy gourmands. And of course, it puts me into that place of when I was very young, helping my mom bake cakes, of course, doing the rinds of the lemon peel and throwing it into the batter and getting a whiff of the smell of the citruses and all the cake yumminess that goes into making cake. So that's what this fragrance reminds me of. I think it's going to satisfy folks that love gourmands. It's very cozy and comforting for sure. There's definitely the elements of powdery touches, and then of course the booziness appears here as well. And I think the booziness of the rum and the bitterness of the lemon peel comes in perfectly together to contrast with all the creamy vanillic touches of the vanillic gourmand notes. So it's definitely a solid release here from Akro, and I'm going to do a rank list of my favorite Akro Gourmands, because we now have 3, and I can also say maybe Smoke is a bit gourmand as well. Maybe not, but for me, we're going to do a top 3, and then I'll throw in the bonus. But what I'm going to start with is Dark as the third one. Dark is a fragrance that's about chocolate. It's dark chocolate with cocoa, cinnamon, hazelnut, and vanilla. And when you smell this, it's an overdose of powdery chocolate touches here. And of course, there's a bit of booziness in here as well, and also nuttiness. There's definitely the idea of chocolates covered or drizzled with hazelnuts, which is kind of a delicacy in Europe, not much here in the States. I don't think hazelnuts are as popular, but if you like the idea of hazelnuts and dark chocolate, definitely try Akro's Dark. But as I was saying, there's definitely the idea of a bit booziness in there. And then, of course, the cinnamony touches come in as well to give you that kind of a spiciness from the different notes together. So Dark is really yummy. It is number 3. It doesn't mean that it's not a good fragrance. It's just the way I'm feeling the 3 different gourmand fragrances from Akro. And then I would add Bake as number 2. There we go with Bake. We were just mentioning it, how the lemon peel with the rum and the Chantilly cream, praline, brown sugar, vanilla all, blend beautifully together. You've got the bitterness of the citrus peel or the lemon peel here, which kind of reminds me of when I was young, helping my mom make a, cake batter with lemon rinds in it. But it's got enough balance of the booziness, the Chantilly cream with its creaminess, sugary touches and the vanillic touches. It's quite delicious, and it's definitely beautiful citrusy gourmand, but I've put it here at number 2. Bake is at number 2. If you're into the idea of a citrus gourmand, definitely check that out. It's brand spanking new, and it's quite delicious. And my number 1 favorite is Awake. Really love this gourmand from Akro. It's basically coffee. It's like cardamom coffee, which is another thing I grew up with in the Middle East. It's a delicacy to have cardamom with coffee, and here they've combined the two. But Akro's Awake features notes of Balkans, Santos coffee, green cardamom, Italian lemon, Haitian vetiver. Sure, it does have to have a woody backbone in the base. The lemon, I don't think there's much of a lemoniness here. If at all, it's just there to kind of accentuate the fragrance a bit. But for me, it's about the coffee and the cardamom. And to me, it's a delicious, delicious combination. Very luxurious combination of a coffee fragrance with those 2 notes. So Awake goes at number 1. Definitely worth it. And as the bonus option, it is Smoke, because Smoke was the first fragrance I discovered from Akro. It's not fully gourmand, but it does have a kind of a gourmand edge to it. To me, once you get past the smoke from Akro's Smoke, it does have a reminder of tobacco vanille, because there's a bit of a spiciness in there and also vanillic touches. And here they're not using vanilla, they're using benzoin. So it's basically tobacco leaves, nicotine, Cade, Benjoin or benzoin, and Tonka beans. But once you get past that smokiness, because it is called Smoke, after all. There's definitely loads of smokiness. The fragrance will remind you a bit of tobacco vanille. I don't think this is tobacco vanille, and also it's very smoky, and it's also not a full-on gourmand. But I'm featuring it here as an as a bonus because it does have those kind of gourmand touches, and I think it smells quite delicious. So those are my thoughts on these fragrances and the brand new Bake from Akro. Akro's Bake is delicious. I think you should definitely check this house out and this fragrance out, especially if you don't know anything about Akro. There's probably some discovery sets or sample sets out there you can find at Lucky Scent as well. I have a link in the info box. But let me know your thoughts on Bake. Have you tried Bake yet? Are you a fan of Akro? Are you a fan of Olivier Cresp's fragrances? Do you know who he is? I just mentioned it earlier, but let me know your thoughts on Olivier Cresp's fragrances and also Akro fragrances, especially Bake. Put a comment down below so I can find out. But either way, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.